Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 9 of What Cause Inspires You. I'm your host, Faith Wang, and today I have with me Crystal Chan. My friend and fellow Humanity Rising ambassador Alicia Gupta launched the What Cause Inspires You podcast as a way for students to share the service they're doing in their communities. We encourage students like Crystal here, who are making a change to improve the world, to share their leadership stories and join the Humanity Rising community. Crystal is an 18-year-old writer and community organizer who's passionate about advocating for social equity. She also helps to level the playing field for underserved youth and families. She's the founder and executive director of Space for Us, which she's here today to talk to us about, which is a community organization that connects underserved students to professional resources. She also serves as the District 7 representative on the San Francisco Youth Commission. She's also a reporter for Channel Kindness, and she works as the director of communications for a Supervisor campaign in San Francisco. We'll be recording this presentation, and we will post this video on YouTube by Saturday and the audio on Spotify by Friday. All right, Crystal, are you ready?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me again.
Of course. Our first question is, what inspired you to start Space for Us?
Yeah. So I started Space for Us in the summer after my sophomore year of high school. And the idea to start a program like that really stemmed from a personal need. And it's a cause that's near and dear to my heart. My parents immigrated here to America from China. And so, my friends and I, we grew up in the heart of Chinatown, which is like one of the most underserved immigrant communities in San Francisco. And, growing up, my parents didn't speak English. And so, I didn't have access to a lot of the social capital and professional resources to explore different career paths and learn about all the different career options out there. And so, going into high school, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to fight for justice, fight for the underdog in the courtroom, but I didn't know, where to start researching. I didn't know any lawyers in my personal life, and I didn't know where to get started. And I talked to a lot of my friends who, grew up with me, who come from similar socioeconomic backgrounds. And, in talking to them, some of them wanted to be surgeons, others wanted to be like teachers or vets, and some of them just didn't know and they wanted to explore, but they didn't know where to find the resources. The public high school that I go to is considered like a magnet high school. And so, there's sort of a spectrum of privilege. There are people there who come from very wealthy backgrounds, and there are other kids who come from lower income backgrounds. And so, my friends and I at school, we would hear other peers saying, oh, like I can just intern at my dad's law firm, or my parents can connect me to different professionals. And that wasn't an option that was afforded to a lot of students in my community. And so that's sort of where I got the idea to want to start Space for Us. Initially, I wanted to do a career panel and bring professionals and students together to talk about different careers and, kind of connect them so that they could have access to mentors and internship opportunities. And so I wrote a grant. I gathered some of my friends to take photos and had some of my friends help me with the planning process. And then, we held the career panel in Chinatown, and it was wonderful. There was a diverse panel, and I really saw that there was a need in the community, and students showed up and they were engaged and interested in learning about these careers. And so from there, I kind of started to write more grants. Now, 2 years into the creation of Space for Us, we do company tours. We also do like career workshops that are more interactive. We have networking events. And so, it's really grown to be a community organization. And that's sort of the story of how it got started.
That's so inspiring. Wow. So what issue does your organization solve, and why is it important to address this?
Yeah. Our program, we offer like career exploration resources and provide students with like mentors. And at the core, I think our goal is to address the issue of economic and like income inequality, especially, growing up in the San Francisco Bay Area. There's a very stark contrast of, privilege versus lower income people. And I think SF has one of the highest income inequalities in the state of California. And, a huge reason why that is because, students who come from these backgrounds aren't exposed to so many different careers that are available to them. And so, they might find themselves entering careers that they don't like, or maybe they can't find the right fit. And so, I think addressing economic inequality is so important because it allows students to break out of the poverty cycle. And that's the core of what Space for Us is trying to address, because, we want students to find a career that's both financially stable so that they can, provide for their family and, build a life that's not necessarily, restricting. But we also want to make sure that students find careers that are meaningful to them. And so, that fits their passion, that they go to work feeling really happy. And this is sort of addressing like why solving economic inequality is such an important issue. And it's because, finding a fulfilling career is at the intersection of a lot of other issues. And it's with like having a stable mental health, right? If you love your job and you attend your job every day and you love the work that you do, obviously your mental health will also increase. And, it will have ripple effects in your life and other aspects of your life as well. And if you have a job that pays you enough and pays you well enough to build a life and help your family break out of the poverty cycle, I think that's the ultimate goal. And, we want students to find a career that's both financially empowering and meaningful to them.
So what's unique about Space for Us?
Yeah, so the first part of why Space for Us is unique is we're youth-led, and I think that's a super important aspect of our program because, we are young people who are also going through the process of trying to figure out what our career path is. And so, we understand the needs of our community, we understand the needs of other young people because we are in that demographic. And so I think our organization being youth-led has that advantage because we know what's interesting for young people and we are more connected to them because we go to school with them. And so I think that makes our program really unique. And another part is we're open to different high school students, and we're not just restricting students who have to apply and commit to the program. That was like a main reason why I decided to start Space for Us as well, because I realized that there were a lot of organizations in the Bay Area and across the country, that had, resources to connect you to mentors. But a lot of them were restrictive in the sense that you had to apply to be part of the program, like you have to commit. And, a lot of students, especially people from low income backgrounds, they have to take on jobs, they have other commitments at home. And so it's not really feasible to have them commit to a program if they don't have enough time. And so I think another part of what makes Space for Us unique is our workshops, our events, they're all open to public. So high school, middle school, college students who just want to learn about different careers, we welcome them. So our events mainly happen in San Francisco, but we've had people from like Oakland come and from other parts of the Bay Area. And so, we pride ourselves on being able to create an accessible space for anyone who's interested in attending our events.
It's definitely super important for an organization.
Yeah.
So how has this impacted your community?
Yeah, for sure. So Space for Us was started about 2 years ago, and to date, statistically, we've impacted more than 350 students in the Bay Area, and we've had a community of more than 85 wonderful mentors and professionals who, dedicate their time to telling their story to our students. And sort of more on the story side, our ultimate goal, like I mentioned before, is to provide students with that social capital, with the knowledge and the mentors and the resources that they need to expose them to careers that they didn't even know existed. So in terms of, tangible impact, we've had workshops at like LinkedIn where students got to learn about user experience design, which isn't a very common career path, and it's relatively new. And so I personally didn't even know that that was a career that existed. And so, being able to bring that to students, I think, is more important part of our work. And that's where we measure the impact. It's like what students have learned and, what they've gained. I remember there was a student who came to a event last year, and she was really interested in like photography and social media marketing. And after coming to one of our career networking events, she met this guy who ran a business, and he had connections with other marketers in the neighborhood who were looking for freelance photographers. And so he was able to connect her with some of his connections, and she was able to further her passion in photography. And I think that's more important in terms of impact of our organization. It's really giving students this opportunity to find out what they're passionate about and how they can turn that passion into a profession, and to see positive role models in the community.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So what's the biggest challenge you faced since starting Space for Us?
Yeah, I think like any other youth-led organization, the hardest part is probably balancing like schoolwork and going to school and managing like homework and tests and education with running an organization. Because when I first started Space for Us, like that was the only thing I wanted to work on. I wasn't like, for school I was like, oh, it's really important, but I think the work that I'm doing with Space for Us is so much more impactful in the community, and I just wanted to work on it like 24/7 because I love doing this work. But now that I've graduated from high school, and I'm incoming college freshman at college, I think I'm going to have more time to really expand Space for Us and really work on strategizing how to maximize our impact. And so that's definitely a challenge. I think that was more prevalent in high school, and it's not much so now. But I think a common challenge that people usually think I have is like, oh, how do I reach out to professionals? Which ironically isn't the most challenging thing, because when I first started, I was just reaching out to like cold calling, like cold emailing people, and it's really surprising how eager people want to share their stories with students. And the professionals that I've reached out to are so responsive, and I think they're a core part of the program because they're all so passionate about their jobs, and they're always willing to show up and help our students find out what they're passionate about and how to chart like an unconventional career path. And so I think that's definitely a wonderful part of the program. And I just want to say I'm super grateful for everyone who's volunteered their time to help us. I think they are such an integral part of our organization's work. But yeah, I think definitely the balancing schoolwork part is a common challenge, but I'm working on balancing that and spending more time on Space for Us in college as well. Yeah.
That's definitely something that I and a lot of other high schoolers can definitely relate to. So that's amazing that you can still balance that. Yeah. So how has your work with Space for Us impacted you and other parts of your life?
It's definitely a huge part of my life. I'd say, firstly, when I started Space for Us, I was really keen on pursuing a career in law and becoming a lawyer. And through running Space for Us, as I'm organizing the events, I'm also learning alongside other students. So I think that's a unique part of what we're doing, because I'm also learning and exploring alongside everyone else. And so, through running Space for Us, I realized that my real passion lie in social impact and storytelling. And so I guess now my career path has sort of changed, and I'm still unsure of the exact career path I want to pursue, but I'd say Space for Us has definitely impacted my views on what a conventional career path should be, because normally, like in schools, we hear about like a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, and they're very generic, and meeting professionals who work in like product design or who work in startups, there's so many different roles available. And so I'm pretty open to exploring, but I definitely know that my experience on Space for Us is something I want to continue working on. So hopefully I could combine my passions for like policy and tech and storytelling and maybe chart a specific career path for myself. But that's definitely one way that Space for Us has impacted my life. And another way I'd say is it's really strengthened, my passion for community organizing. And that's sort of what motivated me to apply to a lot of other programs in the community. So like Faith mentioned before, I represent like District 7 on the San Francisco Youth Commission. And it was really my work on Space for Us that introduced me to different like legislative aides and policy advocates who, one of them, my mentor Jarlene, actually encouraged me to apply to the Youth Commission because she said, you're so interested in policy and community organizing, this would be a great opportunity. And so, I applied, and, I get to do the work that I love most. I get to do policy and community organizing. And, we're working on issues from like Vote 16, expanding voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds, to, ending youth incarceration, to making Muni more accessible for low-income youth. And so, that's an intersection of all my different work and orgs and initiatives. And so I'm really grateful for Space for Us because it really helped me discover this passion that hadn't been there before or I hadn't even known about.
That's so powerful. So what are your future goals for the organization beyond what it is now?
Yeah, so like any other organization, I think, right now I'm thinking about how to scale and expand it. I'm talking to different young people across the country who want to get involved with our work and want to start a chapter and organize events in their own community. And so, our team is really working on how to involve young people, especially during COVID, as we're navigating the virtual scene. And so, as I go to college, I also want to bring Space for Us with me to the East Coast so that, I can start scaling it and establishing chapters there as well. But I'd say that's the main thing, expanding and strengthening our partnerships with different companies and organizations as well.
Oh, great. So how can people get involved with Space for Us and the work you're doing? So before I let you answer this, I'm gonna paste the website and the contact information for Space for Us and for Crystal into the chat, so that anyone listening can contact you and get involved.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Faith. So, we're always open to any partnerships or collaborations in the community. So, you can email us at info@spaceforusproject.org if you have any ideas for like wanting to co-host an event with us, or maybe, we're always welcoming. We need professionals to speak to students, especially if, you have an unconventional career journey that you want to share with our students. We always welcome that. And we're also always looking for like companies to work with us and, have their employees share the story with us as well. And then if there are any students who want to work on our team, whether helping us plan events or, they want to have us connect them to a professional mentor, we're also happy to do that. So yeah, we're very excited to partner with anyone. And so if you want to reach out, my email and my social media are also on there. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Crystal.
Thank you.
Yeah, so your work is so inspiring, and thank you for sharing your story with us and our viewers today. I hope that in the future, we'll be able to see more youth activists like you take it upon themselves to make a more meaningful change, just like Space for Us is. So I will be posting Alicia's email address in the chat, so that if anyone has questions about the What Cause Inspires You podcast, they can ask her there. And I'll also be posting the application form to become a speaker. So we love hearing the actions that youth are taking, no matter what it is. So I really hope that you guys take the opportunity to do that. And speaking of future podcasts, next week, Wednesday, July 22nd, at the same time as today, I will be on with a new Alicia will be on with Anushka Nori, while we discuss her involvement with sending letters to elderly shelters and its impact on her community. And also tomorrow at 7:30 Central Time, join us on our Voices podcast with Steve Sherowitz and Dory McWhorter, who is the CEO of the YWCA Metro Chicago.